nothing beats a traditional paella, but if you just don't have time and you still want a little bit of flavor and glamour and personality in a weeknight dish, you cannot go past my gorgeous cauliflower paella recipe. This is one you are going to use again and again. It is bursting with flavor, color, and personality, and it takes no time at all. Really easy to get started. What I've got is some beautiful chicken. Now, of course, a traditional paella, we would use rice, and they would take about 25 minutes to cook. So instead of traditional rice, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to show you how to rice down a cauliflower. Now, that is very trendy at the moment, using cauliflower in meals. It's not always terribly cheap, but you can also use a frozen cauliflower and pop it into your food processor. Now, what I'm using is a lovely chicken thigh. Of course, you can use chicken pieces, and I've also got some beautiful chorizo sausage. Now, before I start cooking, the thing that is going to go in the pan first is our chicken. The chicken out of this is going to take the longest. So I've got our chicken thighs here. Now, of course, we can cut those down and make them a little bit smaller. So if you cut this down into a chicken strip, it will obviously cook down faster. Now, I've greased that pan with a canola, rice bran, or whatever your favorite vegetable oil is. And if we just get that pan nice and hot, we are actually going to brown this chicken off and give it a glorious spray tan before we add all the other ingredients. So to get that spray tan, we've got some beautiful fresh paprika. Now, I always say sniff your spices before you use them, because Old Spice is a men's deodorant stick, and we really shouldn't be putting that in our cooking. So always check the sell-by date on your spices. They should be bursting with color and a beautiful flavor and a beautiful smell. If you're cooking with Old Spices, you are not going to enjoy your cooking anymore. So you can blame it on that. I've got the smoked paprika or a normal paprika. I've also got a little bit of beautiful bright turmeric there. I love to use turmeric. I call it a culinary spray tan. And then what I'm going to do is just a little bit of olive oil, and literally we are going to give these a very glamorous color. So while the pan is heating, I'm just literally spreading all that lovely color and flavor around. Now, of course, you can season these as well. We are going to add some chicken stock to this, but I like to get those chicken thighs perfectly seasoned before they go in the pan, and then all the work is done for me. Now, of course, if we weren't making a paella, you could do this with chicken thighs on a normal weeknight meal and use any spice mix you want. So I've just got a little bit of table salt or sea salt. I like to put my salt into a tea strainer, and then I get a really nice even covering of, I call it salt snow, just to season those breasts absolutely perfectly. Now, our pan is smoking hot. Don't burn the oil, but I definitely want it to be nice and hot. And then we're just going to pop those chicken breasts in there. Now, what I'm wanting when I put them in there is a nice sexy sizzle. Now, those chicken thighs are smelling absolutely gorgeous. What I'm looking for before I turn them over is I'm wanting a lovely sexy golden crust on the first side before I flip them over. Now, when we brown food, it definitely tastes much sexier than if you putting your chicken into a cold pan and the chicken is going gray and stewy. Gray, stewy chicken is not sexy, and we really should put it in the pan and get a nice sizzle, taking care not to burn it. Now, I've just put those to the side. I'm doing enough for about 4 to 6 people, and my boys in my family do eat a lot. So I've actually put about 6 chicken thighs in there, and that is going to be enough to feed them. But by all means, you can halve the recipe or double it. Now, the other thing we've got for our paella is chorizo sausage. So I've got that cut into a lovely thick slice. So that's going to go in with my chicken. And what I want is for that to also brown off. And we're going to render all that glorious fat out of the chorizo sausage. And that is going to be lots of flavor for us later. Now, I haven't put the onion in. In most recipes, it will tell you to put the onion in first. But what I'm doing here is I put that tiny little smidgen of cooking oil in there. I've also now got the chorizo sausage in there. We should get some beautiful flavoursome fat off of that, and then we don't have to add any extra or nasty oils. So I'm pushing this chicken aside here just to make space for that chorizo sausage, and now is the perfect time to show you how to rice this cauliflower. So I've got one big cauliflower here. Like I said, if they are very expensive, by all means, you can grab a frozen bag of cauliflower and food process it. Now, when we're chopping in the kitchen, I do like you to be nice and safe. I also like you to look very chefy. I've got a little wet cloth just under my board here, and that is going to save me from a board that is moving around, which can be very stressful. So a lovely sharp knife, and to rice this cauliflower, all we're going to do is just slice down, and it'll actually naturally fall into a beautiful little cauliflower rice, which is nice and tiny, and it is going to cook really quickly. So this is a very efficient dish to do. While the chicken and the chorizo are cooking, you have time to prep your vegetables. So I've cut down that cauliflower. Now, I am only going to use about half of that, and literally just cutting it down with a nice sharp knife. Like I said, if you do have a beautiful food processor, by all means, throw it in there. Now, we've got our chicken has to be cooked through. Definitely by the end of this meal. So that's literally going to take the longest. When that chicken is nearly done, we are quite able to add all these other veggies, and it's almost like a quick stir fry. Now, I love the flavor of chorizo. It's one of my favorite things. But when we cut it into those big slices, I feel that we don't get all the flavor. So what I've done is, I've actually taken one chorizo sausage, I've roughly chopped it into big pieces, and what I'm going to do is pop that into my food processor, and what I'm going to make is a little sexy chorizo gravel. Now, when I say chorizo gravel, I'm talking about a lovely fine mince, and that is going to add some beautiful flavor throughout this rice so that we get that little point of difference as well, and it also just gets that flavor in there really nicely. So I'll blend that up. Sorry about the little noise. And that's all we need to do. So that is a lovely, sexy little chorizo mince. Now, I can pop that in here. We've got some beautiful fat rendering out of the sausage. And if you can see there, the flavor is going to be intense. And you didn't even have to work that hard. My kind of cooking. So guys, this is one pot cooking at its finest. So what you will have later is a very happy family and almost no dishes to wash. So that's my kind of cooking. Once I've got this chorizo mince into the pan, I've also just got the sizzle nice and high, because remember, we want to brown that off and render the fat out of there as well. So with cooking, you are going to have to adjust the temperature in your pan depending on what's in there and what you are trying to achieve. So nice and hot, nice and fragrant, and that was the hard work done, is browning everything off. Because now all we do is add the rest of the ingredients. I'm going to start with the onions. So I've used a lovely Spanish onion. I've chopped them nice and small because they're not going in first. So I do need them to be small so that they cook off nice and easily. Putting them into that lovely chorizo and chicken oil is going to really brown them off and give them gorgeous flavor. So apparently this dish is a favorite of many of my friends and family, and apparently they make it once a week. Now, of course, a traditional paella would have all that beautiful seafood and all of that in there. So if you do have any gorgeous seafood, of course, feel free to pop that in as well. So now that the onions are caramelized down, we can literally add all of our other veggies, because we want these to be bursting with flavor and have a little signature of freshness on the end there. So I'm adding some red and green capsicum. I'm adding some either snow peas or beans or peas. And of course the cauliflower. Now we can just stir and serve in about 5 minutes. This really is quick, guys. If I didn't talk so much, it's probably going to be done in under 12 to 15 minutes. That's very exciting. Now this beautiful cauliflower, which is quite beige or white at the moment, is going to be transformed into a golden goddess. Now, of course, there will be beautiful seasoning coming off our chorizo and those lovely spices. We've also salted the chicken ever so slightly, but What we can add is either a chicken stock or a cube just mashed up with your fingers, or I like to add a little bit of chicken stock powder. Now when I stir that through, it will go all over the chicken and over the vegetables and season it perfectly. So like I said, guys, we need to make sure this chicken is cooked. If you are in a little bit of hurry, it does help to sneak a little bit of liquid stock. I use a stock powder, but you can also just use a liquid stock. Pour a little bit of that over there, reduce the heat, and let that steam and cook through. And basically, you can call the family because dinner is ready. So guys, just to finish this off, and of course we are going to serve it out of this lovely pan as well. So there is absolutely no work to be done. So once you are sure that that is cooked, we are going to squeeze a beautiful fresh lemon over that just to bring out those lovely flavors. I've also got some beautiful parsley out of my garden, just a little signature of freshness over the top. And because we didn't use too much oil, and it's certainly not any nasty oils, I'm now going to treat us to a lovely drizzle of an extra virgin olive oil. And I've got a lemon scented olive oil. You'll find those in your supermarkets. And that will finish our dish off beautifully and give it some dramatic flavor.